At the 2026 Miami Open, the top-ranked Aryna Sabalenka was on the verge of being transferred to a smaller location from the main stadium court. The competition that nearly eliminated its own winner sold out the women's final, but Carlos Alcaraz and Joao Fonseca retained their priority spots. There were 16,830 individuals crammed into that stadium. This is not a tale of vacant seats. The two ladies at the core of it are completely different in what they stand for, and the plot revolves around a sport that breaks attendance records at the front door while subtly eroding trust behind the scenes. Now let's get started.
After that, and watch her try to continue to progress, because I like her game. Obviously, she wants to get better than where she is now. She's got a lot of good hand-eye coordination and ability to take the ball early and redirect. But the fan stuff is always fun for me, because whenever you see players from smaller countries, the fans are so passionate when they get up to the...
Eala fans boycott the WTA final or empty stadium after Eala exits Miami is probably what you saw in the headlines. Not for the truth, but for hits. Because these are the true numbers for the Miami Open in 2026. Over 410,000 people were expected to attend the entire 15-day event, continuing a run that broke the 400,000 mark for the first time in tournament history in 2025, when 405,448 people entered the gates. Revenue from tickets and hotels increased by 10%. At 16,830 spectators, the women's final Sabalenka versus golf match was a total sellout. That's the background. Let's now discuss what gave rise to the sense of a crisis. Because the emotion wasn't created in a vacuum. It originated from two extremely specific and actual situations. And knowing both of them alters your perspective on the competition as a whole.
Of course, I see some of the things, but for some reason, I see more negative than positive about myself. So I try not to really look deep, and whenever I see my picture or something about myself, I go to the next one, because I don't know, like sometimes people just being rude and mean, like to all of us, and I feel like it just doesn't really worth.
Alexandra Eala and a bout that almost broke her open the first one. Eala faced Laura Siegemund on the court on March 20th. The 3.5 hours of tennis that followed were described in the record as feeling like life or death. During the game, veteran Siegemund was accused of using dirty tactics. Eala shoved past them. She prevailed. The organized Filipino fanbase known as Team Puyat, which follows her across continents, stays up late in various time zones, and travels in large numbers to qualifying matches, reacts to my victories with an energy that is truly unmatched on the WTA Tour. Eala then lost to Karolina Muchova on March 24th. The results were 6-0 and 6-2. It wasn't near. A lot of tennis was characterized as _5. And when Eala departed, Team Puyat did so out of sadness rather than protest or boycott. There was a change in the acoustics in the venue. There was no longer any of the energy, and content producers needed that change, that quiet where there had been noise, in order to construct a narrative. They dubbed it Empty Stadium. In actuality, there was no change in the overall market for top women's tennis. However, Team Puyat had only gone because of one person, and that individual was no longer there. This is where things changed, though, as what transpired in Sabalenka on March 21st was not a matter of perception. It was an actual one. Wednesday and Friday of tournament week have already been cancelled due to rain delays. Additionally, tournament director James Blake was thinking of removing Sabalenka from the main stadium court in order to safeguard ticket holders who had purchased tickets expressly to witness Carlos Alcaraz or the phenomenon Joao. The men continued to take center stage as the Butch Bolds court served as a backup venue. The seventh quote was Sabalenka. The term used is that. Additionally, she made a clear contrast in her press conference following the game. A night session had been scheduled for Mira Andreeva, starting at 9:00 p.m., so why? Sabalenka questioned, isn't it possible for Alcaraz and Fonseca to just begin later in the evening, as was previously done? In order to ensure that she had a day off before her next match, she decided to play on the smaller court. She went on to win the Sunshine Double, winning $1,151,380 after defeating Golf in the championship match. However, winning did not make her words go away. Because that match has nothing to do with what she said. It had to do with a pattern. And there is a history behind that pattern.
It's hard. Yeah, that's why we like her, you know, because she's the face of the Philippines.
Just aside from her talent, she's also thinking of the future.
You know, I've only dreamed of making tennis grow in the Philippines, and now I'm bringing a whole new audience to tennis all around the world.
So when Eala plays, we all get together and we all watch her support her as a group of people.
Are there actual like gatherings?
Oh yeah,
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's
We plan on.
You had to go back to 2023, not Miami or Cancun, to comprehend why Sabalenka had no more patience for this kind of situation. 2 months before the 2023 WTA Finals were scheduled to start, it was announced that they would take place in Cancun, Mexico. A makeshift court constructed on a golf course served as the site. The most damning detail, according to players, is poor construction. The world's best players, including Sabalenka, were not allowed to practice on the match court until the day before their first games. Sabalenka expressed her feelings of contempt in public. WTA CEO Steve Simon received a grievance letter signed by 21 of the top players in the globe. In the end, Simon apologized formally, admitting that the incident was quote 10 and that the WTA quote 11. The purpose of quotation 12 was to heal the wound. In reality, what they did was set the expectation that the WTA would behave differently in the future if it declared that it accepted responsibility. Miami 2026 was meant to serve as evidence. The golf course courts, the 24-hour notice, the Cancun letter, and the possibility of Sabalenka moving to the Butch Bolts court while male celebrities occupied the main stage all returned. She claimed to have quotation number 13 at her level. That went beyond simple annoyance at the time. Institutional memory was that. This is the paradox that no clickbait headline will ever include in the title. The WTA is currently enjoying unprecedented commercial success.
It's going to be an important match for both women. They're going to be both defending a lot of points coming up for the clay season, so this win can do a lot for them padding their points. Golf, she wants to win this tournament badly. She said it before, it's her home WTA 1000 tournament, and she's going to be seeking her first title of the season and her fourth WTA 1000 and 12th career WTA title overall. Aryna, meanwhile, is looking to become the 5th woman in the Open era to complete the Sunshine Double, winning Indian Wells and Miami in the same year.
Attendance at the Miami Open is at an all-time high. Income is increasing. The women's final was sold out. Genuine financial commitment is reflected in the prize pool. Sabalenka won $1,151,380, while Goff came in second with $612,340. James Blake made a public commitment to read verse 14 in opposition to misinformation intended to split fan bases. Over a 10-year period, the tour's remuneration increased by $400 million. At the same time, a formal grievance letter was signed by 21 of the top players on the circuit. The world number one, Sabalenka, is the tour model's face, according to elite athletes. At a combined event at the same tournament that set all-time attendance records, the player who had just finished the Sunshine Double was almost demoted to a secondary court in favor of male stars. The truth is that, not fan boycotts, not deserted stadiums. In actuality, the WTA is both at the height of its commercial success and the lowest level of player trust. After ticket sales collapsed, channels like Cordex Sports and Courtside Prospect carried titles like WTA in a significant crisis. In the face of a sold-out final with 16,830 spectators, that framing failed. Blake confronted the misinformation head-on, outlining stories meant to foment animosity amongst various fan camps. The information was truthful. The fake panic failed. Here's what those same channels unintentionally got right, though. A situation has arisen. Simply put, it is not in the seats. What makes it worthwhile to watch is the interaction between the institution and its constituents.
To see a youngster really step up to the challenge. It looked like she was fading away physically towards the start of that second set, but she fought back, and the fight is something that we're going to constantly see for years to come if she can just keep going on this momentum.
Yeah, she just has an amazing spirit. I mean, the way she fought through that match. And look, it's one thing to win a bunch of big matches in a row. You see the leg taped up. You see her playing a terrific player like Jessica Pegula. And like you said, Coco, there were moments in there where we're like, okay, that's it. I mean, how many times did we get off the couch in the green room and start to walk in here?
Following her round of 16 elimination, Alexandra Eala declared that she will be competing in the European clay court season. Her position has fluctuated between 29 and 45. Her age is 19. She entered the 2025 Miami Open as a wild card, ranked 140, and defeated EGAT and Madison Keys. Against Clara Tolson, she preserved match points. In 2026, she battled Seguin for 3.5 hours. The sport is effective at that level, at the level of individual narratives. The winner was Aryna Sabalenka. Her salary was $1,151,380. The Sunshine Double was finished by her. She faced 16,830 spectators. Even yet, she publicly questioned whether the organization she represents truly respects her as she left the competition. Both of these statements are accurate. How long can a sport sell out its greatest moments while the people who create them feel like an afterthought? That is the question that remains unanswered.